Representing YB Senator Tengku Datuk Seri Utama Zafrul Tengku Abdul Aziz, we are now privileged to welcome our keynote speaker, Yang Berusaha, Puan Nur Hasna Badruddin, Senior Director at Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry, MITI.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Her Excellency Ola Thani, Ambassador of Ireland to Malaysia, Professor Dr. Muhammad Shafri Muhammad Rahim, Vice Chancellor, University Technology Malaysia, Professor Dr. Nur Raihan Abdul Hamid, Vice Chancellor, Asia University, Mr. Philip Eden, Executive Vice President Intuition, Puan Raihana Rahman, Special Project and Project Management Office, Malaysia Airlines Berhad Academy, Professor Technologist Dr. Zanura Zainun Noor, Organizing Chairperson, Future Ready ESG 2025 Conference, distinguished speakers, panelists, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum and a very good morning. I am truly honored to be here with such a distinguished gathering of a group representing the Honourable Minister of Investment, Trade and Industry, YB Senator Tengku Datuk Seri Utama Zafrul Tengku Abdul Aziz, who sends his warmest regards and expresses his full support for this landmark conference. My minister is overseas at the moment, so he sent his regards, and I think that is the reason why he can't be with us today. Although unable to join us today in person, YB Minister has asked me to deliver this address and to reaffirm MITI's unwavering commitment to advancing Malaysia's ESG agenda through leadership, policy and partnership. So here it goes. Let me begin by congratulating the organizers of the Future Ready ESG 2025 conference, the School of Professional and Executive Education Development, or SPEED, at Asia University, Intuition Island, MAB Academy, and University Technology Malaysia through the Centre for Environmental Sustainability and Water Security for creating this dynamic platform. I would also like to acknowledge the presence of Her Excellency Ola Thani, the Ambassador of Ireland to Malaysia, our distinguished speakers, panelists, sponsors, and all of you today, business leaders, policymakers, financial institutions, academics, civil society, as well as students. Your presence here signals that ESG is not a passing trend, but a movement that is here to stay. Ladies and gentlemen, we are living through a defining moment. The global economy is being reshaped by mega trends such as climate change, resource scarcity, shifting demographics, technological disruption, and rising inequality. These challenges are complex, interconnected, and urgent. Against this backdrop, environmental, social, and governance, or ESG principles, provide a compass, a way to recalibrate how we operate, invest, and grow, not only for profit, but also for people and the planet. For Malaysia, ESG is not just about protecting the environment. It is about future-proofing our economy, enhancing our global competitiveness, and ensuring that our growth is inclusive, equitable, and resilient. As an open economy and a trading nation, embracing ESG is essential for Malaysia, for maintaining our position in global value chains and meeting the expectations of international markets. As such, the Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry, or MITI, recognizes the urgent need to operationalize ESG across our industries and supply chains. In response to this, MITI launched the National Industry ESG Framework, or IESG Framework, in 2023 to provide a clear strategic pathway for businesses, particularly the micro, small, and medium enterprises, MSMEs, to integrate ESG practices into their operations in a structured, progressive, and practical manner. The IESG framework is built on 4 components, namely enhancing standards, data, and assurance, enabling credible, consistent, and comparable ESG disclosures, strengthening ESG awareness and human capital development towards building knowledge and skills to drive the ESG transition, facilitating ESG financing and market incentives towards improving access to sustainable finance, and enhancing market mechanisms by supporting MSMEs to align with ESG standards, improve access, and remain competitive in sustainability-driven supply chains. The IESG framework is aligned with Mission 3 of the new Industrial Master Plan 2030 or NIMP, Push for Net Zero, which outlines a clear ambition to decarbonize Malaysia's industries through the adoption of green technologies, sustainable practices, and low-carbon solutions. NIMP recognizes that long-term industrial competitiveness must go hand in hand with environmental sustainability. In support of this transition, MITI has also introduced the Green Investment Strategy, which outlines Malaysia's approach to mobilizing private capital towards green industries and sustainable infrastructure. This strategy identifies 7 low-carbon investment levers, including renewable energy, electric vehicle, and circular economy, and is designed to bridge financing gaps to unlock Malaysia's green growth potential. Further complementing NIMP, MITI launched the Circular Economy Policy Framework in 2024 with the aim to improve resource efficiency, reduce industrial waste, and promote product lifecycle innovation. This policy framework reinforces circularity as a lever for industrial resilience while supporting ESG compliance and investment readiness in alignment with NIMP's strategic direction. In addition, Malaysia has made great strides in introducing the National Sustainability Reporting Framework led by the Ministry of Finance and regulatory bodies like Bursa Malaysia and the Securities Commission. This framework aims to ensure alignment with global disclosure standards such as the International Sustainability Standard Board or ISSB, enabling Malaysian companies to confidently report ESG performance and enhance trust with investors and markets. Our vision is to embed ESG into Malaysia's industrial DNA so that every investment we attract, every factory we build, and every product we export contributes to our environmental goals, social well-being, and governance standards. Ladies and gentlemen, while ESG awareness is growing, we acknowledge that implementation remains a challenge, especially for small firms. Common concerns, including the lack of accessible tools or frameworks, that the perceived high cost and complexity of measuring ESG performance, and uncertainty about how or where to begin the journey. This is why MITI, in close collaboration with our partner agencies, including business chambers, embassies, MNCs, industry associations, research institutes, and state governments, is working to provide capacity building, digital tools, incentives, and knowledge sharing platforms. Our message is clear: no company is too small to start, and no effort is too small to matter. We want to ensure that with the right support and incentives, every Malaysian business, not just the large and listed ones, can participate in the ESG transition. But none of this can be done by the government alone. ESG is at its heart about shared responsibility. That is where conferences such as this are crucial. They bring together stakeholders who don't often sit at the same table: industry and academia, public and private, regulators and entrepreneurs from sectors such as finance and technology. Let me especially commend UTM for their leadership in bridging research and real-world solutions, Asia E University and the Intuition Ireland for their commitment to executive training as well as ESG capacity building, and last but not least, the Malaysia Aviation Group, MAG, for championing sector-specific ESG integration within aviation. Malaysia's ESG journey must be multi-stakeholder, cross-sectoral, and future-oriented. Ladies and gentlemen, the theme of this conference, local implementation, regional integration, global transformation, could not be more fitting. It reminds us that the road to global transformation begins at home. It begins in how companies set policies, how boards make decisions, how products are designed, how employees are treated, and how communities are engaged. It is in every supply chain we manage, every report we publish, every conversation we have about impact. At the same time, we recognize that ESG does not operate in isolation. Standards are becoming more globalized and value chains more interconnected. Malaysian businesses, including those in strategic sectors such as aerospace, are encouraged to align with key international sustainability frameworks such as the ISSB standards, Global Reporting Initiative or GRI standards, and Task Force on Climate-Related Financial Disclosure or TCFD recommendations. There are ongoing global efforts to establish a more consistent and interoperable reporting landscape, exemplified by the ISSB's consolidation of key elements from existing standards such as GRI and TCFD into a unified global baseline for sustainability disclosures. By aligning with these converging sustainability standards, companies could enhance emissions data quality, access sustainable finance, reduce future compliance costs, and strengthen their competitiveness in global value chains. This year, as ASEAN Chair, Malaysia is optimizing the opportunity to shape and advance the region's sustainability agenda. ESG is one of our cross-cutting priorities. Malaysia has adopted the ASEAN Sustainable Investment Guidelines as one of its priority economic deliverables, and it is scheduled for completion within this year with the aim to promote responsible and inclusive investment across the region. The ASEAN Business Council, ASEAN Business Advisory Council or ABAC, is also advancing the ASEAN Simplified ESG Disclosure Guide to support ESG adoption among SMEs and enhance sustainability practices within regional value chains. We believe ASEAN must not only adapt to global ESG demands, but also lead with contextual relevant solutions reflecting our unique cultural, developmental, and environmental realities. Malaysia is ready to step up and position ASEAN as a hub of ESG innovation, resilience, and inclusivity. Ladies and gentlemen, as we look towards 2025 and beyond, MITI envisions ESG as a catalyst for innovation, investment, and inclusive growth. ESG-aligned strategies will increasingly serve as a prerequisite for market access to developed markets, a key criterion for sustainable financing decisions, and a signal of investor confidence and long-term value creation. This is also an opportunity for Malaysia to lead in strategic green industries identified under the National Industrial Master Plan 2030, particularly in EV, carbon capture and storage, renewable energy manufacturing, and green data centers. In fact, Datuk, my minister is on a mission to see one of the CCUS facility in Norway during his trip to Europe around this time. And our aspiration is to position Malaysia as a regional hub, not only for sustainable products and services in line with NIMP's mission to push for net zero and drive high-value, future-ready industrial growth. As I conclude, I would like to offer 3 calls to action. My first call is to policymakers and implementation partners. Let us reinforce collaboration to empower businesses, especially our SMEs, to thrive in an increasingly sustainability-driven global economy. My second call is to business leaders. Take the first step in embedding ESG considerations into your strategies. It is not about achieving perfection overnight, but about putting together the building blocks for long-term resilience, fostering innovation, and strengthening stakeholder confidence. Last but certainly not least, to educators and researchers, continue bridging theories and practice. Your expertise is crucial in shaping future leaders who can drive sustainable transformation and respond effectively to evolving ESG challenges. Ladies and gentlemen, my minister has always mentioned that transformation is essential to building the resilience of the Malaysian industry and trade sector. So this transformation is not just structural, it is a vision for a future where sustainability and prosperity go hand in hand and where no one is left behind. So let us work together to make that future a reality. With that, it gives me great pleasure on behalf of YB MITI Minister to officiate the Future Ready ESG Conference 2025. May this gathering be a catalyst for inspiration, collaboration, and lasting impact. And I wish you all a fruitful and successful conference. Thank you.
Thank you, Yang Berusaha Puan Nur Hasna.